First of all, I have to apologize not to be in Milano, but at least I try to communicate with you via this camera and try to say and repeat some of the major issues that were so fundamental to us when we started to work on that very interesting project. To start with, we were very convinced that, especially with the given theme, with the given title, Feeding the Planet, we had to go away radically from the conventional scheme of world exhibitions, which is all too much based in national issues and issues of monumentality and proving something to the world in an old-fashioned way. And if you think back of world exhibitions, very few is left in all of our minds, and very little is especially left in the major cities. We think in a good way, let's say, of the Eiffel Tower, which is a very good item, a very good statement of the 19th century, but now we cannot continue with this notion of the monumentality. We had to find a different type of monumentality, which was not in the same way something physical, but something much more poetic, monumental in a poetic way, using nature and the potential of nature in its all monumental fragility as a new start, as a new basis for a world exhibition. To create monumentality in more fragile senses seems to be a kind of a paradox. But in fact, if you think of the great waterways that Leonardo was designing and inspiring for the Milan landscape and also the canal system in Venice, they are both monumental and poetic at the same time. And they are ephemeral but very effective. And they are very sustainable ways to redesign, reshape a landscape. And that kind of sustainability is certainly at the heart of our concept for the World Exhibition, Feeding the Planet. So one interesting and important element for us was to create a system of waterways that would lead the visitors to the site. But especially it was interesting to create a site that was inscribing itself in the already existing landscape, agricultural landscape that is surrounding Milan, which is a huge potential for the city in the 21st century. Not only to integrate this site into this given landscape, but with this new site to reinforce the already existing elements that were there. So with the new to reinforce the old and not to destroy the given structures. That's a very important message of the whole exhibition. So one ingredient is the waterways. The other one is the actual structure of the site, urban structure of the site. And in the same way as we've had a model for the waterways, we have a model for this kind of urban structure, which is the Roman city, which is split in Cardo Decumanus. The Roman city is interesting because it became a model for many parts in the world, which are still alive, even if you think of contemporary cities in China, but also cities like New York, which are very powerful, are in some way spiritual, mentally based on the Roman city, which is a very technical, rational grid, which doesn't breathe the idea of an individual author, but is based on something more general. And this more general, sustainable potential of the Cardo Decumanus was very important for us as a basis for the site. Here, the Cardo is very important because it is connecting with the city in a radial way, leading to the heart of the city, and the Decumanus is connecting to the periphery of the city, connecting the agricultural sites around the city with the agricultural site that we are creating on the site of the World Exhibition. The really interesting thing about the Cardo Decumanus cross is that it allows us to easily access the main points on the site, the main interesting exhibitions, and to connect those in a very simple way. But in fact, the most radical change compared to other exhibition sites that have been organized in the past decades is that the national pavilions are all along this main boulevard, which is 1.4 kilometers long. Every nation has a face on this boulevard and is in the same way important as the other nation. Also, it's very important that we step away from the pressure that is on national pavilions to be different, to have different designs, and to have different facades and different architectural styles. The real asset is to be different and to offer difference inside, in how every nature is taking care of nature, landscape, agriculture. And as far as we can see from the first ideas of this very radical conceptual intellectual concept that we have established, the further evolution of the master plan has not stepped away from this clarity and is not being diluted so far, and we hope this will remain like this by the further process of the different teams. The master plan already offers many more rich details that my colleagues will explain to you in further detail, and I'm very confident that you will all share the same enthusiasm we have about the World Exhibition in Milano, Feeding the Planet. Thank you very much.